Hello guys, welcome to another video. Rimuru x Eminence in Shadow by elite3532. Chapter 6. Third paw of chaos spreading around the capital. Multiple groups of knights could be seen running around. Ordered by Iris to find her sister at all cost. Time was running low as the Crimson Princess had to find Alexia before Rimuru did. Not only this will hurt her pride as sister, this will also show everyone how weak she is. Not even able to protect her own sister. As for Rimuru, he investigates the last place where Sid and Alexia were before her disappearance. He was being accompanied by Claire and they soon found out a few hints. Claire. So, what did you find? Rimuru. Using mana, you can read and feel others' mana. With this I can track Alexia, though this needs a very high understanding of magic circuits. Claire. I see. I didn't know Ni-san started to learn how to use magic. Rimuru. I wanted to keep it as a secret weapon, but I guess things didn't go as expected. He said and soon departed. He wasn't sure at 100%, but the clues led him toward the north of the capital. Claire followed closely behind, her hand on the hilt of her sword. She was ready to fight, to save her little brother from those accusations. At the same time, Sid was walking around the street. Turning around a corner, someone threw an object at him. He naturally catched and identified the object as Alexia's boot. Shortly after, two knights who had previously tortured Sid in the interrogation room appeared. Knight 1. My, look at this, the suspect is holding the princess's possession. Knight 2. Now we are sure, you are the culprit Sid Kaganu. Smirking arrogantly, both knights drew their sword ready to arrest Sid. But unfortunately for them, it wasn't Sid Kaganu in front of them, but the soon-to-be biggest criminal of Midgar, Shadow. Smirking, the scene soon shifted in a bloodbath as the Eminence in Shadow stood proudly in front of two dead corpses. Shadow. Cuckoo, we can start now. Beta. Coming out of the shadow behind him, Beta came out, closing her notebook where she had resumed the Chronicle of Shadow. A project with the purpose of writing the work of Sid fighting evil as Shadow. Beta. Hi Shadow-sama, I will contact Delta right away. Doing as she says, the first step of Shadow Garden finally happened. As soon as Delta got the green light, she jumped and attacked the enemy, destroying the entire building in the process. The guards being alerted rushed to the scene, not knowing the incoming disaster. On the other side, Alexia just woke up. She was binded with chain restraining of any body movement. Alexia. Ah, did I get kidnapped? And those chains, magic sealing shackles? She pondered for a little while, not like she had anything else to do. Her worry went for Sid, who she had grown a little fonder over the short span of time passed together. She also thought about her sister and Rimuru, as they must be worried right now. But then, her attention shifted onto a sort of monster beside her. He was a demon without wings and had a big collar around its neck. Alexia. A monster? At the same time, a scientist barged in the room running in a hurry. Scientist. Damn it. They already found us. How could that have happened so fast? He was clearly panicking, quickly rushing over a desk. He picked a sting and put a red liquid in it. Scientist. Just when I finally managed to get my hand on the royal blood, they screw up everything. Alexia. Greetings, you're my kidnapper I presume. What do you need my blood for? Finally talking, Alexia wasn't much worried. This guy was clearly too weak to harm her, so she might as well gain some intel out of this. Scientist. Yo-yo, your blood is the blood of demons, which will restore demons to our realm. Alexia. Demon? Scientist. At first, this wasn't the plan, but those morons screwed up everything. Approaching the monster, the scientist seemed to have totally lost it and started to kick the chained monster. At the same time yelling, the scientist was taking out his frustration on a defenseless monster who grabbed his own head trying to protect himself. Alexia was in shock. She wasn't fond of monsters, but this scene was just unneeded violence. Alexia. Stop that already. Seeing that the monster wasn't even reacting in anger, Alexia tried to stop him, but in vain, until a loud earthquake made the entire room shake. They were underground, so pretty much everything was moving around uncontrollably. Scientist. They're already there. No, it's them. Alexia. Looks like the knights are here to save me. Give up. If you don't resist, the Knight Order won't force a fight. Scientist. The knights? Who cares about the knights? They won't show mercy. Everyone in their way is slaughtered to the last man. Alexia. What? The ones coming here aren't the knights, then what's going on? Driven in panic, The scientist launched his ultimatum. He lifted the sting high in the air before piercing the monster's arm. Soon enough, the injection took effect and immediately transformed the monster's body. He grew bigger and more muscular. At the same time, all rationality inside the monster was gone. Scientist. Ha 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 ha. That's beautiful. Give them a glimpse of Diabola's. Mutating, the monster grew giant claws. The body turned muddy and horrific. Alexia. Wah, scientist. TR truly wonderful. With this. Smiling, the scientist held those last words before getting crushed by the monster's foot. He was in the way of a beast driven by his own madness. Alexia just watched the scientist's body getting squished under the big foot of the monster. Alexia. You, like tomatoes juice. Blood spreading everywhere. The monster then turned to Alexia, who deadpanned. How will she get out of this situation? She wondered. But the monster wasted no time and sent his claw toward her. Alexia. I will not die here because some lunatic dragged me into his mess. Expressing her willpower, she closed her eyes just before impact, but to her surprise, the monster actually freed her from those shackles before going on its own way. Alexia. Huh? Opening her eyes, she saw a big hole in the wall, suggesting that the monster ran by there. Alexia got up and sighed. She quickly recomposed herself and grabbed the sword of one of the knight positioned behind the door, probably guarding it. They were crushed by the monster when he fled, but while doing so, someone lent her a hand. Zenon. I finally found you, Alexia. You're safe now. I've come for you. Stretching his hand toward the princess, Zenon stood there with a fresh smile. Alexia. Instructor Zenon. While those two had this unpleasant reunion, outside Iris with a group of kite was now confronting the mutated monster. Iris was able to hold her ground against it, but because of the monster's regenerative ability, she had some struggle and intended to go serious. But before she could, she was interrupted by Alpha, who soon after finished the monster in a single blow. Coming back to Alexia and Zenon, they both went on their way toward the Knight's Order, at least that is what Zenon says. In reality, they were going the opposite direction, and slowly Alexia started to grow doubt in Zenon's innocence. They were at the moment walking through one of the many corridors of this facility. Zenon. I'm so glad to see you safe and round. I worried immensely after hearing that you disappeared. Alexia. Is that so? Zenon, your sister will also be happy to hear that you've been found. I heard she had a small fight with Instructor Rimuru. Alexia. A fight? But why? There should have been no reason for them to fight. Or did Pooch get accused of kidnapping me? That's stupid. Like he could even hurt me. Zenon. Anyway, there's a carriage waiting outside. I will escort you to the castle with it. Alexia. Well, aren't you well prepared? How did you know where to find me? Something inside Alexia just couldn't trust Zenon. Her instinct was telling her to not trust this man. And she also knows that if both Rimuru and Iris are involved, it was just a matter of time before they come here. She rather waited a little more than following someone she couldn't trust. This was one of the many things she was taught with the heir of the Kaganu family. Zenon. I sensed your magic, of course. Although we were surprised to see a monster burst forth, the knights have led the beast away, and I took the chance to rush in. Alexia. Is that so? This was the last proof Alexia needed to confirm her suspicion. Despite being arrogant, she knew how to lead a discussion in her favor. Alexia. The thing is that mine was sealed until just a few moments ago. Even if you picked up traces of my magic, it wouldn't have been so easy to pinpoint my location so quickly. Drawing her sword, Alexia took multiple steps back, her eyes narrowed dangerously. Alexia. And the fact that you are so prepared, this is why too perfect even for someone with your capabilities. It's almost as if you already knew I was here, so stop the act now. Zenon's eyes widened. He didn't expect this little girl to deduce that much, but soon he started chuckling. Those chuckles then turned into laughing. Zenon. K cuckoo ha 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 ha. Alexia. What the matters, Instructor Zenon? Zenon. Oh, nothing, ha ha ha. I'm just astonished at how much of a pain in the ass you are, princess. Grabbing his face with one hand, his friendly expression turned into one of madness fitting a villain. Zenon. You didn't need to make this harder than it had to be. As you suspected, this facility is mine. I'm the one who funded that scientist's work, and now you're coming with me, Alexia. At the sudden confession, Alexia didn't waste time and rushed at her enemy, intending to end it in a single blow. But to her surprise, it was blocked. This man might be evil, but she had to recognize his skill. They soon started to exchange swings, with Alexia testing for the first time her swordsmanship in a real fight situation. Zenon. To think the prideful princess who was stuck by copying her sister's sword changed so much. Alexia. Shut up. A swordsmanship created and builded with passion and hardship. This new sword that she developed since she started to train under Rimuru, this was her current fighting style. But even with all the progress she had made, a moment of inattention and her left foot lost its balance. She winced a little and closed her eyes. This short instant was enough for Zenon to attack. His smirk grew wider as his blade slowly went toward her neck. He intended to stop just before she died. Even half alive was good. Zenon. Maybe if you stuck with your sister's swordsmanship, you would have last longer, you Feilu. But before it could connect, someone jumped in. Appearing between the two, Rimuru used his own sword to deflect Zenon's attack. At the same time, he grabbed Alexia by her shirt and pulled her over his shoulder before jumping away. Zenon. Why you, Rimuru? At least I managed to get there in time. Landing a few feet away, Rimuru sighed while carefully putting Alexia down. The princess opened her eyes after hearing the familiar voice. She was surprised to see him here, at least so fast. Her plan was to take on Zenon for a few dozen minutes, with either her beating Zenon or holding back until someone came to save her. Alexia. Rimuru-senpai. But how? Rimuru. I followed your magic. For now stay down, I'll take care of the rest. Alexia. But I had magic restrained shackles. Rimuru. I know, your magic trace stopped at some point, but luckily it led me near this location, and once the shackles broke I was able to find you. Alexia. Even so, in this short amount of time? Is he also proficient in magic? Rimuru. Anyway, Claire, protect her. Looking up, Alexia's eyes widened as she noticed the big hole in the ceiling. It was clearly made with magic. Claire jumped down from it and landed right beside them. Claire. Hi, I took a first aid kit, so please don't move too much, princess. Alexia. Yes, but please be careful, this guy is actually strong. Finally turning to Zenon, who watched the whole scene quietly, he couldn't move freely now that Rimuru was here. Even more after his explanation, Rimuru's danger level rose tenfold. Zenon. He can use magic too, it wasn't stated in our data. Rimuru. Instructor Zenon, I can't say I had the best impression of you when we first met, but it's surely not what I expected. Zenon. Why, you bastard. Rimuru. As a noble of the kingdom of Midgar, you are under arrest. Resist and I won't assure any other outcome than death for you. Zenon. Like hell you. Judging this as an act of rebellion, Rimuru didn't waste time. He appeared in front of Zenon, grabbed his neck and slammed him down. The shock made the room shake as Zenon coughed out blood. Zenon. Rimuru. To think a trash like you dare kidnap a student of mine. Locking him down with his left hand, his right hand still had a sword in hold. Rimuru really intended to kill him. But as he was about to execute himself, a few footsteps could be heard through the corridor. Everyone stopped moving and turned to the source of those loud steps. A man clad in black with a hood and mask covering his eyes manifested himself from the shadow. Shadow. My name is Shadow. I lurk in the shadows and hunt the shadow. Talking in a dramatic tone, he excluded both power and charisma. Claire and Alexia were staring at him thinking that this was another enemy. But Rimuru saw it differently. His eyes widened as he immediately recognized his little brother. Rimuru. Zenon. Using this moment of distraction, Zenon managed to get off of Rimuru's hold. He quickly jumped away looking at Shadow with anger. Zenon. Why you? You're the stray dog who's been baring its fangs at the cult lately. Rimuru. Cult? His widening even more, Rimuru finally connected every dots. Alpha and the other presence at the Kagenu household. The feeling of Sid constantly holding back. His naive yet bold attitude, Alexia's kidnapping and the rest. Rimuru. Was Sid pretending to be weak to fool this cult? No. Seeing that one of Midgar Academy instructors was a spy, there must be a lot more around us. I have to be careful of every noble now. Zenon. I see, you're getting cocky after taking out some worthless bases, but today you'll face Zenon Graffi, the future 12th knight of the round. Forgetting the presence of others, he had revealed a lot of information before gushing himself toward Shadow. Rimuru. Claire, be sure to stay close with Alexia and run away if things get out of hand. Claire. I can fight too. Rimuru. No, for the first time, Rimuru shouted at her. And this took immediate effect as Claire directly backed down. Maybe it was the authority in his voice or the fear of her brother getting angry at her. Claire just obeyed. Once he made sure they were safe, Rimuru jumped in the fight. He was clearly not staying out of this. Taking Zenon by speed once again, Rimuru kicked him out of the way, breaking a few of his limbs before jumping at Shadow. Speaking of Shadow, he got a little startled when he saw his older brother swinging his sword at him. Not wasting time, he countered it. But the strength applied was way too high and both brothers bursted past the wall. Still holding their ground, the two swords were shaking at how much power their user applied on them. Rimuru. So, it seems my little bro had some secrets. Shadow. My name is Shadow. Damn it, I didn't expect to fight Rimuru here. Panicking a little, Sid stood his ground but couldn't force his way out. Rimuru was just that strong. Rimuru. Cut the act, Sid. I won't reveal your identity to anyone. Shadow. As I said, my name is Shadow. Changing strategy, Shadow used magic to take a shadow form. He disappeared on the spot and reappeared behind his brother. Rimuru though wasn't much startled as he reacted in time. Turning around, he landed a solid side kick in Shadow's stomach. Shadow. Rimuru. To think you would hide so much strength. Shadow. Well, it seems physically I am no match. I can keep up with his speed, but strength-wise is another story. Both brothers shared a few loads of blows before coming back in the corridor. They were still fighting and had their clothes covered in dust. Claire. They are so fast. Alexia. Who is this Shadow? Claire. I can't clearly see his face, but he seems familiar. As Shadow took another battle stance, he was going to get serious, but when things started to get interesting, a burst of energy made everyone react. Looking around, the attention switched on Zenon, who consumed a few pills of drug, something to increase your strength by losing your humanity. He grew some deformed muscle and lost the human shine in his eyes. Zenon. I'll kill you all. Kill. Rimuru. Oh, it seems your body is on the verge of collapsing, but is it worth it, just for this pathetic boost of power? Zenon. Shut up. Roaring, the monster Zenon now rushed at Rimuru. He wanted to rip his body apart, torn his flesh and torture him. No sign of sanity left. Shadow. Hey, Kukuku. Hearing his brother chuckle, Rimuru turned to him. Zenon. You? Taste my ultimate power. Instantly switching targets, Zenon lunged toward Shadow, who just kept chuckling. Shadow. Ultimate, huh? Pathetic. As Zenon's sword made contact with Shadow, the blade broke, shocking everyone. At the same time, his magic flowed everywhere around. Rimuru. What absurd quantities of magic. It seems Sid really hit a lot. Claire. What is that? Alexia. This can't be real. Shadow being the center of this mass of magic, he looked down at Zenon. The one mentioned was on his knee staring at the Eminence, completely beaten. Shadow. Observe, this is what true power looks like. Get a taste of my ultimate magic. Brandishing his sword, Shadow started to unleash even more magic. The entire room was marked by his power as the purple aura spread around. Shadow. I always wondered, how can a man survive a nuclear bomb? You can train as long as you want, be as sturdy as you are, but at the end, an explosion and it's the end. Starting his monologue, outside Rimuru took action. He went to cover both Alexia and Claire and used his own magic to protect them. Rimuru. I will have a serious talk with you later, Sid. Shadow. But I come to this answer: if you can't beat the atomic, become the atomic. The energy finally reached its peak. Shadow started rampaging it. Shadow. I am. Atomic. 3 simple words that generated an explosion never seen at Midgar until now. The entire area at kilometer of range was wiped out, leaving nothing but destruction. The scene was witnessed by everyone as a pillar of purple light could be seen across the capital. Iris too assisted at that and gritted her teeth as she first failed to kill the mutated monster and had to let an unknown elf do the job. And now, this explosion, she could only hope Alexia was safe. A few seconds later, the light faded away. Shadow Garden, who had made his presence known by running some chaos around the capital, retreated. Shadow disappeared, leaving nothing on the scene where the fight happened, excluding a small sphere of white ice. Inside Rimuru, Claire and Alexia were perfectly fine. Rimuru had formed this unbreakable shield of ice and took Shadow's attack head-on. Rimuru. To think he would do so much damage. Ah, this is going to be a lot of work.